Okay, we're back, and I went ahead and I ran some liquid duct. Our furnace has already reached a certain point. I don't know what exactly that point was, where it starts producing steam, but it does it at a very, very low rate. So I figured I would hook up some liquid duct, and it's running along this way. It goes up underneath this wall, and then it's coming out to this point, right over our energy bridge. So what I need to do now is to make the steam producer, or user, whatever. So should be a multi-block that looks similar to the rest of them. Consumer, okay, we'll use that. So we need to make a commercial steam engine. So 3 iron plates, not that big a deal. Wait, these are iron plates, right? These are refined. We just need standard iron plates. Go ahead and add the shader back in. This will no longer ground. That's easy enough. That was quick. Alright, so we've got some plates, and then some other minor things we gotta make. Piston and some iron gears. There's our wood gear, 2 of those, stone, and then iron. So those go there and there. Our piston goes there, I think. Iron plates go at the top. Actually, this goes down there. There's some glass in the middle. There we go. Alright, so we've got one of those. Then we just need some gold ingots around the corners. Alright, I'm not 100% sure if this is the right module, but if it's not, that's easy to fix. So I'm going to put it right there. And then we're going to send our liquid duct up to it. And then make the connection. So now we should be getting steam, a readout for steam. There we go. Okay, steam in. Alright. So cool. I want to gauge how much this is actually putting out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this right here. So now we're purely running on steam. Okay, so we're not quite putting out enough steam. Alright, so we're back. I did a little off-cam work, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys what I did, so at least I remember. I disconnected the output of the fuel because I also picked up all the generators. So, and also I picked up the energy converter. So this wall is all nice and blank for me to do stuff with. I also picked up the stills that was taking the biomass turned into biofuel, and all that got moved in to where I've got the steam boiler, and now the steam boiler is all ready and good to go. He's full steam, 1000 C, and I've got him hooked straight up to our energy bridge. So we've got a BC out, so we're outputting MJ and we're outputting EU. I think these are consumers or producers. So just like before, I had two cells hooked up, and these cells are set up to output 50, input 100, output 50, input 100, and we've got the conduit connecting up behind here, and then I didn't change the rest of the conduit network at all that much. I removed the string that went all the way over to here, to up here. So that string, I picked that up, and I used it to build the string that went from up here down up over here to the energy cells. The steam's just coming out. I've got enough connections to where I can output more steam than the steam's produced. Right now this is a 36 high pressure boiler. It should theoretically be able to produce 720 steam per tick. I think that's what it is. And with the connections I can output 800 even. And I can output it into this guy. And right now we're only sending out 250-ish steam per tick. And then with that we're producing our Buildcraft energy and our IC2 energy. Our IC2 energy is running through this fiber cable, glass fiber, and it's hooked up to the back of these machines. This machine is now hooked up to the ME network with an ME import, and this is also hooked up to the ME import, ME export. So it's automatically compressing our plant balls into compressed plant balls, and that's being fed into the fermenter. When we run out of compressed plant balls, it should opt for saplings, which we have over 200,000 oak saplings. This is our fertilizer level. It's still 16,000. Hasn't dropped all that much. So yeah, the output of the fermenter is running down to here. It's coming in through the floor. It's being fed into the back of our stills, and then our stills are receiving Buildcraft energy through this single connection. So again, with the single connections, we're saving that 5% drop. So the outputs are coming out here and here with our levers and our liquid ducts, and then that's just getting piped over to the multi-tank. And our multi-tank levels have continued to rise since our steam boiler is now up to temp. The rate at which it sucks up fuel has dropped quite a bit, so that's all good. So the idea is I can run as much MJ and as much EU out of this one box as the steam boiler can produce. And just to give you a good idea of how much it's capable of producing, I'm going to actually break these cells. You normally don't want to break them, because when you break them, they lose all their power. So this will give you a good idea of the output of our energy bridge, because it's going to be forced to send out 200. So we're turning 800 millibuckets, which is the maximum amount of the connections, and which is more than our steam boiler's producing. So we're sending out 160 MJ. So that 800 steam is getting turned into 160 MJ, and it's charging these cells up. There's such a draw that we're not even sending out any industrial craft power. So I assume this guy is stopped. Yeah, he's stopped dead in his tracks. He'll probably stay stopped until either I crank the max input down. I could set the max input down to 50 on both of these. And at some point that should give us a little bit of breathing room where we can start producing industrial craft. That's weird. It's not. It's completely ignoring the input configuration being directly connected to the energy bridge buildcraft block, which is weird because it should be only sending out 100. It's 50 on this one, 50 on the other. It should only be sending out 100, but it's sending out 160. Weird. Okay, well, that's the setup. Now I also started making some of the iron plates, and that's going to be for these guys, iron tank walls. These are 9x9 Zycraft tanks, and it holds 5.4 million. A 9x9 Railcraft iron tank would hold twice that. But what I'm thinking about is a 7x7x8 tank. I could put two tanks against the same wall, and each of those 7x7x8 would hold over 6 million millibuckets, or over 6,000 buckets. And I'm thinking is I could move these two tanks against this wall, embed it into this wall, and then I could shift this guy down to over here. That would free up more open wall space, or I could even use the large cavernous area for like machine rooms or something like that. Haven't quite figured out that part yet. The floor to ceiling is 8, so they would fit pretty simply in the space allowed. 7x7, 14, and that wall is 16 blocks, so they would fit pretty snug. I could have 2 open blocks in between them, or I can bury them a little bit into each of these walls and get more, maybe enough room to put the just like I've only got 2 blocks of space in here, and embedded in the middle there is my my fuel maker, one that turns the oil into fuel, the refinery. So I could set up a refinery between the Buildcraft tanks. They would hold, or not Railcraft tanks, iron tanks, and they would be smaller, and they would also use be able to carry more fuel, and they would be less buggy than the Zycraft. Zycrafts are cheap, really easy to make, really easy to use, but it's time really to graduate out of the Buildcraft tanks. Hopefully help the server out. I mean, I've got so many of these tanks right now, and I'm only going to eventually probably end up with more as I get into Greg Tech and I start using some of the other liquids that come with Greg Tech. So, yeah. I could potentially even reduce the size of this tank. It wouldn't have to be a 7x7x8. It could be a 5x5x7, or maybe even smaller. Just because I am using, as I'm producing, all of the biofuel, so I really don't need a big, huge million-plus millibucket tank. So the server, I'm pretty sure, shut down like about a half hour ago, maybe an hour ago, but it shut down again on me. So yeah, that's the changes I did off cam. Alright, we're back. We're back. This is going to be another one of those videos where I need to do a voiceover because I forgot to unmute my mic. So we're going to continue on. I'll probably talk a little bit about what I did off cam. We started producing a bit more sand. We just basically ran completely out. And that can be a problem when you want to smelt using the induction smelter. Also, this is how I am producing the plant balls now, using a fabricator. It'll output from the ME network all the leaves, and this fabricator will create the pattern, and the pattern will create the plant balls, and the plant balls will go into the ME network. And that's all pretty much automated, so that now the plant balls come into the compressor automated and create the compressed plant balls, which we can use. I had an issue with the plate bending machine. The ME network seemed to want to grab out of everything, out of all the slots, so I kind of abandoned trying to use the ME network with it, although it still has the hopper, so that's still helpful. I think I might be just talking about the industrial craft power. I managed to switch it up a little bit too, tweaked it so I can hide the panels better, hide the cables a little bit better. But it wasn't a big thing. Okay, now this is what I want to do this episode. I want to work on a different mod than I've worked on. Well, I've worked on this mod before. What I want to do is, just like I have the planter and the harvester here to create a little tree farm, I want a harvester and a planter to create a wheat farm. But I don't just want to have a wheat farm where it grows at the normal buildcraft rate. I want to have a way of speeding up the speed at which the wheat grows. So in order to do that, we also want to have a cow farm, which doesn't quite make too much sense, but if you have a cow farm and a wheat farm, they work together through the fertilizer. The fertilizer can fertilize wheat that's in your wheat field and force it to grow faster. And if we backtrack from the wheat field, then you can make the fertilizer that goes into it using the composter and the sewage collector. The composter can compost sewage into industrial compost, and you could feed the fertilizer that way, and then the sewer is what generates the sewage, and then you put that underneath any blocks that are going to have animals above it, and it automatically generates sewage. So that's why I've got that small area right there with cows, because we're going to generate sewage, and then we're going to pump it into the composter, and then we're going to then send the industrial fertilizer into the fertilizer, and then that'll fertilize the wheat that are planter plants and that are harvester harvests. So that's pretty much going to be what the setup is, and it requires quite a few machines, requires power, some sorting of some of the output of the harvester, requires sewage is a liquid, so you got to get it over from the sewer over to the machine that you're going to hook up the composter. So we'll just we'll do a cut right here, and we'll start crafting some of the machines. And we're back. So I've spent a little bit of time doing some prep work for this episode, because I knew we were going to need some materials we don't normally have, plastic and clay, bricks, and things like that. So we'll just go ahead and get straight to it. The first machine we're going to build is the planter. So we'll pull out the recipe here. We've got plastic sheets, flower pots, pistons, and factory machine blocks. You get 3 factory machine blocks for 3 plastic and 3 stone. And that works out pretty well, since we need to make, 4 machines, I think. And we've already got 3 factory blocks, so that's good. Put that in the project table, and I've already got some brick here, so we can use. Oh, I'm pulling out plastic here. We'll need plastic, yes. That's good. 4 plastic equals 4 sheets. So I make a pretty arbitrary amount of plastic sheets. It's no big deal. I've got so much of the rubber bar that I could make tons of plastic. Here are the bricks I need. And the bricks are going to make those flower pots, and we need 2 of those. And back to the recipe. I think we've already got everything we need. Yep. We need the piston though. So pretty much cleared the project table. So we're going to need to pull out some redstone. We're going to need some cobblestone and the planks. Oh, and I forgot the iron. There we go. And we have a piston made. So now we're good to go ahead and craft our first machine. The planter. Here's our machine block, planters, planter pots. That's not a piston. There's the piston, and then our sheets. So that's going to be the machine that we're going to use to plant the wheat. Be configured to increase in the output by using some upgrades that we'll come across. Now here are the shears that we need for the next machine, the harvester. So we need 2 shears. We need an axe made of gold. So we're going to need some gold. And I'm going to hunt down some sticks because I know I still have some sticks in my inventory from way back in the day when I overproduced for the mining machine. Okay, there's our gold axe. Now we use plastic sheets, which we got, and the machine blocks. And there's our harvester. So we've seen the way the harvester and the planter work together. The planter plants and the harvester harvests. You're going to want to pump back the seeds from the harvester to the planter using a filter and some tubes. It's my preference, but I guess if you wanted to use Buildcraft, you could use cobblestone pipes and diamond pipes if you wanted to. I've already got a void pipe for the sludge that comes from the harvester. And of course I've got the relays and the tubes. I don't have a filter yet, I'll have to make that. So, next machine we're going to look for is... Which one do we do next? Oh, the Sewage Collector. Okay. So, we pretty much already have everything in the inventory but the bucket. We've got our bricks, we've got our plastic plates. Plastic sheets, I mean. I've got plenty of buckets in my inventory. There's a bucket. We didn't have to build anything on this one. Sweet. And we get 4 of the sewage collectors, which is nice. I probably only need 1, maybe 2. So, I guess that leaves me room to expand. Okay. So, what are we looking for here? Still have 1 more machine to make. I'm not sure exactly what I'm talking about this second, but I'm sure it was very important. Composter, there we go. You can't pull the recipe up in there. What are you doing? There we go. So, furnace, well, we made a bunch of those furnaces a while ago. And we need 2 pistons. Come on now, we made a bunch of furnaces, remember? There you go. Can't forget that stack of 64 furnaces I made. Oh, I hate wasting resources, but it's just cobble, so it's no big deal. And we need 2 pistons. And I think with some clay. No, we're good. We got everything we need. Nope, we don't have everything we need. we need a machine block. Yep, I'm just figuring that out now. And yeah, so let's pull everything back out again. Look up the recipe for the machine block. That's easy enough. It's sheets and stone. I don't have any stone in the table though, so I have to get that out. I'm enjoying the dual ME networks. It's really nice and fast. Just to know what ME network you need to pull out of. It's going to be sorted. And the way it's going to be easy to find stuff. Okay, back to the composter. Now we should have everything we need. Got our blocks, machine blocks, furnaces, pistons, and sheets. Alright, now we have all the machines that we're going to use for this setup. It's going to be the sewage collector is going to send sewage to our composter, and our composter is going to create the industrial fertilizer, which is going to fertilize using the fertilizer. Oh, we haven't made the fertilizer yet. Getting ahead of myself. I think I'm talking about the second relay. I was going to have a relay send the output of the composter to the fertilizer, which it should eject just like the other machines automatically eject. Have I still forgotten to... I think I've forgotten to make the fertilizer. Oh well. I'll guess I'll come back to it. So here's the hole that we made. My little prep work. We're going to need to send some conduit off of our conduit network from downstairs to power everything that needs power but the sewer. Sewer does not need power. And we're going to try and hook up everything that needs power but the planter, because the planter is going to be a little bit too far away from everything to share power. So there's the planter. We're just going to bury it in the ground like we did the first time. Okay. I noticed, I think, at some point there's going to be an issue with the pneumatic tubes that are going across in front of us. We'll have to do some tweaking of those tubes in a minute. My options are to go up underneath the tube or to go through the tube by rerouting the tube, which is what we eventually end up doing, so we just reroute the tube. So here's the harvester. It has to face the wheat farm, so we're just going to use our Omni wrench to rotate it. There is a hammer that comes with it, precision hammer it's called, but we're not going to go ahead and build that. Just going to continue using the Omni wrench we already have. The harvester outputs stuff into the back through that little hole there, and what I would do, like I did the first time around, is I'll put a relay next to it so it will push everything down into the relay, and then the relay can send it to this tube network that's down here. This is the same tube network that Steve uses. Seem to be getting spawns in here somehow. Okay, this is us just adjusting the tubes out a little bit so that we're not going to be banging into it. I like the the shovel speed for everything but dirt. For grass, it's okay. Or for gravel, it's okay. For sand, though, or for sand, it's okay. But for dirt, it's really ridiculous. Alright, just minor tweak of the tubes. It's going to save us some headaches in the future. And I also, I think, maybe reroute the conduit network. Because I need to... The relay has to be pointing down. And that conduit is right in the way, really. Okay. So yeah, we go ahead and do some rerouting. We even go as far as to tweak the planter, changing up from inputting power on the side to inputting power from the bottom and sending out material from the side. This is not the tubes going to the planter is an input tube, not an output tube, so it's fine that it's not at the bottom. Any side other than the top can be an input for the planter. And we're just going to close it up so we don't get any spawns in there. Here's where it starts to get real tight and just a little frustrating. Alright, so our conduit's good. We rerouted our tube network for the Steve cart, so he's less in the way. And you can see it's made everything a lot easier to work with upstairs. So there's the relay. Our harvester will push out into the relay, and the relay will push out into our tube network. And what are we doing now? We're just going to do some closing up of the dirt there. Okay, so at some point there's going to need to be a filter that filters out the wheat and just sends the seeds down to the planter. So that block right there I just placed, that's a block for the filter. So where that dirt block is where we'll put the filter, and this will be the route I just ran will be for the wheat. So our material will come down, it'll see the filter, and then if it's seeds, it'll go through the filter and go straight through and into our planter. And if it's not seeds, in this case wheat, it'll bypass it and then go into our ME network. So that's pretty similar to the setup that we had before. Not much has changed with that, other than, of course, it's a new location, so I can do a little something different with the output. So let's do the sewage next. And it's a pain in the butt to try and find a center and dig when you got cows around. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and shift the cows over now that I'm done with the area that we're going to be placing the wheat farm. So easiest way to move these guys is with a portal gun. So I'll get these guys moved and I'll come right back. Okay, we're back, and now the cows have been transported into the other field. I don't have to worry about them getting in my way, so I can properly count out. Let's get some kind of center to the farm that they're going to be in, the field they're going to be in, so that you might get away with using one or two sewers. So So the sewers go right on the surface. It's too fast for my own good. Alright, so now that the sewer's down, we're going to want to send some liquid duct over. Or what are we doing here? Oh, I want to be able to hook all these machines kind of in one place. So I want to come up with the conduit and connect to all three machines. The composter and the you'll see. There's going to be three machines there. The composter, the harvester, and the fertilizer. That's what it is. So I'm going to try and connect all three to the same location. But first we need to get the liquid duct running for our sewage. It's all pretty self-explanatory. We're just gonna make a run, not worry about being too direct, but not wasting conduit either. So this, while I'm doing this thing's got a couple of cool benefits. We're gonna have cows, which we can slaughter for leather. We're gonna have cows that we can slaughter for leather and food. We're gonna be producing sewage, which will make industrial fertilizer, which will work for our fertilizer, and it'll work in the we can convert the industrial fertilizer into regular fertilizer and use it in the fermenter for where we're making our biofuel. And of course the wheat can be made for bread, which can be eaten, or it could be made into not mulch, but the other thing, I forget what the heck it's called. So we're done with our field, so we're going to move the cows back. Not mulch, what is it? You'll have to tell me what it is. It's not mulch, it's compost, that's what it is. So we can, we've got lots of different inputs and outputs for the material that we're making, which makes it definitely worth doing. So our cows are back. I'm going to go ahead and place our composter. I'm just going to show you the output of the sewer right now. It's already up pretty decent amount. The more cows we get, the more sewage we'll create. So there's a benefit to growing our cows, not only for food, but to increase the amount of industrial fertilizer they can make. Okay, so here's our composter, and I haven't quite figured out at this point how I want to do the conduit, but I think I finally realized I don't have the fertilizer built yet, so it's not too difficult. We need some glass to make the jars, and some leather, which if we had to, we could slaughter some cows right away, but I've actually got some leather in the other ME network I'll figure out that real quick. Here are bottles. Leather. And then you need the machine block and some sheets of plastic, I believe. Always with the sheets of plastic. There it is. So now I've got the last machine built. We can start figuring out how we're going to route the power and how these new machines work together. So I'd like the conduit to come up between those two machines, and I'm just trying to figure out at this point how I'm going to route the output of the composter, which is to the right, so that it gets to the fertilizer, which can't be as close to the harvester as I want it to be. So I eventually figure it out. We're just going to put the composter, or the fertilizer. What are we doing? There we go. So that is the fertilizer. Or is that the composter? That's the fertilizer. Okay. I just had it in the wrong positions when I had it in. And then we'll have a conduit that connects the two. And then we'll put the composter, which really isn't directional. It really doesn't matter what direction or where it is. Put it right next to the conduit. That's not the machine, that's conduit. There we go. So now we need to get the output of the sewage collector composter thingy to the fertilizer, and that's just pretty much how I'm going to do it. Now we need to get the sewage into composter. It's not flowing yet though. And I knew there was some sewage already in there. But since it's kind of offset, the harvester and the fertilizer will have to have a slightly higher end upgrade in the fertilizer for it to work. Our planter is going to plant in a 3x3, and then the fertilizer and the harvester needs to be able to access everything that's there. So I'm just pulling out some seeds to show you the output of the planter by default. So there's your 3x3, and of course until we upgrade the other machines, they're not going to be able to reach it. So just for testing purposes, I'm going to grab my fomic hoe and we'll manually plant some seeds down, and that's the one that's got the nice repair on it. I don't use the hoe that much, but having one that has a repair on it's pretty nice. So we'll grab some bone meal to force grow so that we can test out the harvester. At this point I'm pretty sure it's a 3x3, but I'm not positive. I think there's a GregTech version of this that's only looks at what's directly in front of it. So our sewer tanks are full. So something's wrong with the setup as far as the liquid ducts go. And what's really weird is I wrenched it so it would output, but that's not actually how you have to do it. You're not supposed to touch it. Don't put it on an output, otherwise it won't output. Pro tip. See, it's wrenched out like you would think it would need to be, but you don't want to wrench these guys out. Also, they don't need a torch or a redstone signal or anything to send out their sewage. So now we got sewage flowing through the liquid ducts, and I want to test the range of the harvester by default. So this should test the default range, and then I realize these are not wheat seeds, these are what's it called, seeds? Flax seeds, yeah. And you can't force grow flax with bone meal. So that the bone meal, the flax seeds are gonna go. Okay, this is 3 blocks in front. Does it break it? Yes, it does. Okay, so apparently the wiki was right. It'll break 3x3 in front of it, and then of course you upgrade it beyond that. So now I'm just doing some counting to figure out the different upgrades I need. I need to upgrade the planter, I need to upgrade the harvester, and I need to upgrade the fertilizer. So that's 3 different upgrades I need to do. I think the planter ends up being a +3, the fertilizer ends up being a 9, and the harvester ends up being an 8.
Just to let you know, we're not going to have internet for at least 2 days.
Okay. I will survive.
They can't get a technician out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Alright, so we're going to build our first upgrade. All the upgrades are built pretty much the same. The only difference between the upgrades are the material that's used to, the 3 ingots that are used to make them. So I'm just quick double checking 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want a +4 for, not +3, for the planter. So you just look for these upgrades. It's under the same item subset as the rest of the mod. And here they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we need a copper upgrade. So we need 3 ingots of copper. And there's the upgrade. All the rest of upgrades work basically the same. The only difference is you replace copper with something else. We had an 8, so that's quartz. So we need 3 quartz. So it's 3 quartz, 3 plastic, 2 redstone, and a gold nugget. Like so. And then we needed a 9. And a 9 is going to be, I believe it was diamond. So 9 is a diamond upgrade, so we need 3 diamonds. So these are pretty cheap unless you want to go really far, then those upgrades start getting more expensive. I wouldn't say that the quartz is expensive, it's just really hard to get. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull the flax seeds out because we don't want to be growing flax, we want to be growing wheat. And then we'll put the seeds in, and then we'll put the upgrade in, and we'll get to see the planter go ahead and plant in its max radius. And there we go. Right up to the edge of our fencing. That worked out pretty well. I'm going to get some more wheat seeds. After I clear my inventory. There we go. That's the right seeds. Yeah, you could still accidentally trample If you're not careful, you can trample. Okay, so while that's planting seeds, the harvester, we're going to go ahead and upgrade the range of the harvester. So that will get us to the far off fencing. It actually goes beyond the fencing on the sides, but it will reach the fencing at the far end. And then the diamond for the fertilizer. So as soon as we start getting fertilizer from our composter, then we will start fertilizing our stuff. Some reason why it's not sending into... No, it's sending into it. So we're full on sewage, I guess. We're just waiting for some of it to come into the fertilizer. Our relay isn't stuck. Oh, we don't have any sewage in there. Okay. We got power, then we've got the work, and then we've got the sleep. So those are the three on the far right. Power's all the way up. The work it's actively working right now. So we're in the middle of a cycle when we're looking at it right now. So we're basically using the sewage as it's coming in. So we look in these sewers, they should be empty, because it should be piping them out as the sewage comes in. So I think I get the bright idea that we need to start doing some more breeding. We're not getting enough sewage. No? Okay. We're going to upgrade the sewers, because the sewers by default only collect what's directly above them. So if we upgrade the sewer, then it'll have a better range. And I forget offhand what tin is. I think it's a +2 or +3. +3. Okay, so we're going to put tin upgrades in our sewers. So you don't need to plop down a bunch of them. Just use the ones we have. Because it almost seems like they're trying to stay away from the sewers, which is kind of funny. Alright, and there's the second one. And now it will pick up sewage off of all the animals in the fenced-in area. So now we almost instantly see that the output's gone up quite a bit. So we're just placing down some extra torches. Since the fertilizer doesn't run that quick, we don't make that much sewage.
Hey.
Thank you. Then we won't... It'll benefit at least some from having some extra light. But we'll come back to it later. We'll see it cranked up all the way and see how much we're able to produce when we've got a few more cows and we're producing sewage as fast as the machine will allow us to. Because the more sewage you have, the more compost you get, or industrial fertilizer you get, so the faster you build turn out wheat. So a lot of different uses for this farm, and I'm glad I made it. It was a lot of fun. A couple new machines I've never used before, and I will definitely get good use from the outputs that the setup offers. And it really looks like something that you could make early on, assuming you can get your hands on, if you want to do the upgrades, the diamond and quartz upgrades, if you can get your hands on the diamonds and quartz. And here's where we make the babies so that we can get some more sewage and, you know, some more leather and meat. So yeah, that's about it. We'll come back in a later episode and I can show you the outputs of the machines, see how well our cows are doing, and show you what the farm's full potential ends up being. So thanks for watching.